What's going on YouTube? I'm Atarasu Ninja here and we got a second upload of the day, and today we have another anime analysis video on Rent a Girlfriend episode 4, and today we got a good one for you guys. It's actually going to be a short one as well, as not much happened. It was an uneventful, eventful episode, and I hope you guys stick around to the end. If you do, consider dropping a like, maybe a subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next video when I upload it. And with that being said, let's get into it. First off, for starters, just let me bear in mind that I usually put a lot more detail and take a lot more notes in the beginning of the episode as to lay the ground for the following events in the episode. So usually, if you have noticed, I put a lot more detail into it, and as the episode progresses, I put less effort into it, or not effort, I should say. That sounds horrible, but less detail, as I don't want to ruin too much of it. Anyways, to get started. Again, we're starting off from where we last left off. Yaimori essentially tells Mizuhara about Kazuya's true feelings and essentially why he's doing everything that he does. To which, Mizuhara is immediately shut that down last time, and she says, there's no way he falls in love with somebody that works as a rent-a-girlfriend, and essentially just ignores her true feelings. And go check out my last video so you understand more of what I'm talking about, as always, and just to keep up to date with these videos. Anyways, going back to the fourth episode, essentially they started a GoFundMe page and they're looking for clothes, to which Mizuhara ends up distracting her with saying that let's just find more clothes to get more backers online to incentivize them again so they can get more money for the movie. And essentially, once they're done with all that, Yaimori, as she ends up walking out, since they're neighbors, she ends up talking about Kazuya again, and essentially she says true love can start from something fake on borrowed time. Immediately after, Mizuhara is basically flustered, to which Yaimori ends up snapping a quick picture of her in a funny little skit, or a little scene. It's not even a scene, it's just like a little funny skit that they had, which I thought was funny. And she ends up running off essentially because, it's not supposed to be, it's not a thing, it's kind of illegal or some shit. It's implied that, at least. And as Kazuya ends up arriving home, they glance at each other. Mizuhara, again, still flustered from what Yaimori is basically telling her. Mizuhara runs inside, and Kazuya is left dumbfounded outside as to why she's acting so weird. The next day, Mizuhara tells an acting friend about the movie that is in her college, and essentially asked her if she can post, her website online so she can get more backers, as he is popular. And again, this guy is basically introduced in season 2. And again, as he said, sure, he implies that he'll do it, but that he'll need a favor in return. Once again, Kazuya at home is depressed from Mizuhara's cold reaction from the night before. Essentially, he picks himself up and forces himself to get to class, as class waits for nobody, as he states. And on the way outside, he essentially busts into Yaimori again because they're neighbors. She ends up noticing how he looks down, and Yaimori acting like she doesn't know what's going on. Kazuya, picking up on this, confronts her, and they move away from the apartment, essentially so that in case Mizuhara's there, they don't want her to hear. And to which she, meaning Yaimori, essentially reveals what she had done, and Kazuya crumbles from embarrassment as Yaimori panics immediately afterwards. Kazuya gets up all in his head and starts thinking about random situations and things that she might say and might do. And I'm just gonna have a slideshow right here real quick because I have a lot of pictures in it. I just thought this particular opening of this anime and this episode was entirely funny, and it just went batshit crazy with the shit that he was thinking about. And I just want to quickly show that off real quick, so just give me a second. After Yaimori is left apologizing, Kazuya panics once more and asks for Mizuhara's response, to which she says that she shut it down, the combo that is, and basically wouldn't budge. Immediately, Kazuya has a tantrum and he doesn't want to move. He doesn't even want to go to school anymore, to which Yaimori takes a picture, classic Yaimori move, and essentially they get a text to meet with Mizuhara later that night, as to essentially talk about some plan. Later in Kazuya's apartment, Mizuhara essentially explains that Umi, the guy from earlier, is essentially famous online as an influencer, and asks her to retweet, or Twitter in their verse, retweet their website so they can get more backers. Kazuya has a little mental breakdown. Again, it's all in his head, and sees Umi trying to hook up with Mizuhara. She explains to him that she has a girlfriend, so it wouldn't be like that. So, cause he finds it weird that cause she says that essentially she invited him, or he invited her, sorry, to a like a show, like a play or something, essentially, or like a movie. So her explanation was that it's only so that she can pick up on some acting skills and learn. Like, what better way to learn than actually going to see a play, right? Essentially, and Yaimori and Kazuya talk it out in the bathroom as she's waiting outside and weighing their options. Yaimori saying that obviously he's a big influencer and it's gonna be a good exposure for them in the website, and obviously Kazuya saying no because he's hot, he's a good-looking guy and whatnot, and essentially Yaimori basically is on his side, saying that she doesn't like the idea of, somebody else dating Mizuhara besides Kazuya himself again. And it just ends up, Kazuya in the end begrudgingly agrees and ends up panicking after she ends up leaving. The next day, Umie and Mizuhara, or Ichinose Mizuhara, that's her full name, start going out on their date, and essentially while they're walking, Umie starts dropping hints that he's into Mizuhara. Mizuhara obviously like brushing it off, thinking that it's just a coincidence. Umie essentially saying stuff like, I'm happy that I'm here with you, and essentially just playing it off by saying something like, I'm happy I'm here with you. Oh, it's because I know you love movies so much, so it kind of inspires me, or some shit like that, right? So he's just essentially just playing it off. And Ruka, again, seeing Kazuya's reaction, ends up kind of like getting into his head a little bit and saying even hot guys have their ulterior motives, and it makes him, get into his head a little bit more and get more depressed. And as she gets jealous of Kazuya, is essentially because he's worried about her more, and even though Ruki is literally right in front of him, is not giving much attention, but again, she's still helping with the cause, begrudgingly a little bit. Again, only doing it because, he wants to make her boyfriend, Kazuya, happy. Kazuya still loves Ichinose, but that's a whole different thing. Rukia cheers him up, essentially, and then he thanks her for what she's done and, all the things that, she's helped him with. And essentially she ends up blushing in a cute little scene. And cutting back to the date, Umie and Mizuhara start talking about the scene and thinking about their thoughts, to which, Mizuhara is very delighted. She's had fun. She's very into the movies, to which, Umie starts getting more captivated. And at this point, he essentially reveals that he broke up with his girlfriend about a week ago and is very much interested in Mizuhara, and at this point, Umie invites Mizuhara to an after dinner, after the movie. She ends up inviting after dinner, and she basically denies him and promises to hand out flyers with everyone else, since they've been working all day and trying to give out flyers for her sake. To which Umie's reply is essentially that trying to coerce her by saying, it's a really famous spot, a lot of members only, and it's really hard to get into the restaurant or get a reservation in general, and essentially saying that there's a lot of big name actors in there and maybe she can learn from some of them, or have a meeting with one of them. Again, just trying to get her to say yes, essentially, by playing at the what she really wants, which is kind of scummy by him. I really don't like this guy, how he was presented at first. And essentially she still says no, that she still needs to hand out flyers, and to which Umie basically asks if she likes Kazuya, and then essentially two girls end up walking right past them, and they assume that they're in the middle of a breakup. So that was kind of out of nowhere, and her response is basically that I don't like him, but I don't not like him. The basic answer that middle schoolers would kind of give, and it was just kind of crazy how the episode almost ends like that. And essentially immediately afterwards she ends up meeting up with the group and starts handing out flyers. Obviously, Kazuya being delighted that nothing happened. He even asks her like, "Hey, did anything else happen? Like, did anything like then this part is it said like a kiss happen or something?" And basically implying like if something went on like between them. And Mizuhara obviously saying no, it was just it was just an invite to a movie, and anyways that she was just a backup because essentially again Umi lied to Mizuhara, saying that he was intentionally going to bring his girlfriend, but supposedly she got sick. But now we know that they broke up, or that he broke up with her. And to me, it just seems like he kind of broke up with her just to get with Mizuhara. But again, we don't know. We don't know too much in details. I guess he wouldn't really go into much detail on that. But anyways, after a couple more hours of them handing out flyers, essentially, they meet the deadline as they check the page later on that night, and they actually made 30,000 yen over the budget. And essentially, it's thanks to Umi, who actually ended up retweeting the website, which again brought it more in line with like more movie buffs, as what the words that they used earlier in the show. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be the end of the video. It was a good one for them. They finally made the budget for the movie, and they actually made over the budget. They made again like 30,000 plus over. So good on them. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. Again, not too eventful this episode. I feel like a lot of the major things really happened early in this episode, and essentially it was just like a little side story of Kazuya being jealous of this one guy, but essentially he's still being right. So maybe there's something to learn about that, right? But women, if you're watching this, since mostly my viewers are male, but by any chance if there's a woman watching this and your boyfriend is a little bit jealous and telling you not to meet up with some guy because he knows that he might have something for you, maybe give him a listen. Maybe just hear him out and don't call him insecure, because a lot of the time we end up knowing what the hell we're talking about. But I guess that's just a lesson to learn. I don't know. Right now I'm just rambling on, but tell me what you thought down below. Again, leave your thoughts. I'm sorry, my brain's a little bit scrambled. This is the second video of today, but again, follow me on Twitch. I'm Amaterasu Ninja. We could talk about this live if you want. If you want to discuss any more things, if you want to talk about more anime, I'm down for that. I'm going to be streaming tomorrow, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. As always, have a lovely day. Peace out. Deuces.